All right, guys, let's see if we can knock this practice test out here. Help you get ready for tomorrow. First six are just graphs, obviously. So number one says graph y equals sine x. Let's draw your coordinate plane real quick. Number four, ticks. Goes to 2 pi, 1 pi. These are just the basic ones, just to make sure you got them. Sine, remember sine does. Sine starts at 0. It goes up, down, up. And there's your sine graph. Number two is cosine. You can go the same way. Gonna go 4 ticks here. 2 pi, 1 pi. Goes up to 1, down to -1, except cosine actually starts up at 1, and it goes down, up. That's a 2 pi. Number three, tangent. Got to remember where the asymptotes go on tangent. Remember, tangent is undefined at the pi over 2's. So I'm going to put a positive pi over 2 here. I'm going to put a negative pi over 2 here. Now I got the beauty of changing colors, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to put an asymptote at all the pi over 2's. And remember, the tangent graph crosses right in between the asymptotes, halfway in the middle, and just does this right here. That's what the graph looks like of tangent. And those are just, remember, that's one period. Technically, they keep on going, but that's enough for us for tomorrow. Y equals cosine negative x. All right. Remember that negative inside means it reflects across the y-axis. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing here. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 2 pi. That's 1 pi. Okay. Technically, my graph would go, cosine starts at 1. It would go like down, up. But this one needs to reflect across the y-axis. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 this way. Make that -2 pi, negative pi. Now, the first part, this green part right there, is that the reflection is going to be this right here. The U section on the bottom is going to be just right here. And the section that's back on top is going to be that right there. So the red right there, that's the reflection across the y-axis. Number five. Number five's got a plus pi inside. All right, the plus pi is going to shift it left pi. So I'm going to go negative pi. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 this way. That's 2 pi. That's 1 pi. That's 1. That's -1. Now, because it's been shifted left pi, I'm actually going to start my graph at negative pi. All right, so usually when sine starts at 0, goes up, down, up. Instead of, that's my new 0. The negative pi is my new 0, so it's going to go up, down, up, just like that. So when I draw my sine graph, it's going to look like that. Remember, it really, technically, it keeps on going. Number 6, y equals negative tangent x. Don't forget what negative does. In the front, negative in the front reflects across the x-axis. So I'm going to reflect the regular sine graph. Remember, the asymptotes go up positive pi over 2 and negative pi over 2. So I'm going to draw those asymptotes. One asymptote right here, the other one right there. Usually, remember how tangent goes, it'd be going like, well, it would do like this, right? But because it's been reflected, the bottom comes to the top comes to the bottom. So it looks just like that. Keep going here. 2 more graphs, numbers 7 and 8. 7 and 8. 7 says, well, first of all, it says different amplitude, period, and phase shift. Okay, amplitude is the number in the front. There's not one, so the amplitude is just 1. The period you're going to get by doing 2 pi divided by whatever number's inside your parentheses, which is 4. Always reduce that. That's pi over 2. And guys, what the period tells you is, it tells you where to stop your graph. So when I go 1, 2, 3, 4, instead of going 2 pi, I'm putting pi over 2. Halfway to pi over 2, it's pi over 4. Amplitude is 1, -1. And because it's cosine, all right, cosine starts at 1, goes down, up. So that's what's happening right there. It's going down, up. Awesome. Number 8, that keeps happening. Number 8, there we go. Number 8, the amplitude, number in the front. The period is 2 pi divided by what's in front of your x. There's nothing in front of your x, so it's just 2 pi. All right, so I'm going to, that's a terrible looking y-axis. So I'm going to draw this graph. It's got a plus 5. Oh, phase shift. Sorry about that. Phase shift, negative pi. Remember, phase shift is the opposite of c. Phase shift is this, negative c over b. The opposite of this number over what's in front of your x. And there's nothing in front of your x. So that's why it's negative pi. And what that tells you is where to start your graph. So I'm going to negative pi, positive pi, 2 pi. Okay, and it's sine. Forgot my 1 and 2. Going up to 2 this time, down to -2 because that's what the amplitude is. And sine starts at 0. It goes way up, down, up to right there. So that's where 1 period of that graph would be. Hope that makes some sense to you. Let's keep going. Number 9, find the value using your unit circle, or maybe without the unit circle if you want some extra credit. Okay, cosine 4 pi over 3. Anytime I see cosine pi over 3, I know it's a half. 4/3 mean I'm in quadrant 3. Everything's negative in quadrant 3. It's negative a half. Every time I see tangent pi over 4, I know it's going to be 1 because pi over 4, I have square root of 2 over 2 over square root of 2 over 2 for my y and my x. Negative pi over 4 is in quadrant 4. Tangent is negative in quadrant 4 because y and x have different signs. Number 11, sine of 11 pi over 6. Anytime I see sine pi over, forget the 11 a second. If I see sine pi over 6, automatically thinking, oh, it's a half. Then I got to figure out what quadrant. 11 pi over 6 is almost 2 pi, which means it's quadrant 4. Y is negative in quadrant 4, so that's negative. Number 12, use a calculator. Please don't miss this one. Go to mode first. Make sure you're in radian mode. You'll get the wrong answer if you're not. Type in tangent. 1.3 is all you got to do. It says 4 decimal places, so I'm going 3.6021. You should get the same thing. Number 13. Been putting this on a lot lately, and this problem just like this. Sine is negative 7/25. These are out of order, by the way. Cosecant, by the way, that I put sine down here. That you need to change that to cosine. Cosecant is reciprocal of sine. You gotta know because they're not in order this time. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go sine squared plus cosine squared is 1. So I'm gonna square. No, not this. I'm sorry. Sine is y over r. Sine is y over r. Don't forget that. Sine is y over r. So I know my y is negative 7 and my r is 25. Don't forget this. R squared is the square root of x squared plus y squared. Sorry, that's what r is. R is the square root of x squared plus y squared. So I'm struggling with this problem. So r is 25. I don't know what x squared is, but I do know y squared is negative 7. Now if I square, y is negative 7. If I square negative 7, that's 49. So what I got to do now is I got to square both sides. That gives me 625. Over here I have x squared plus 49. Move the 49 over. It gives me 576. Take the square root. I get plus or minus 24. But here's what I know. It's in quadrant 4. Because it's in quadrant 4, x is positive in quadrant 4. So now I can do my answers. Cosine is x over r. All right, so x is 24, r is 25. Secant, you do reciprocal of that. Tangent is y over x. Remember, y was negative 7, x is 24. And cotangent, you just flip that. And there you have it. Okay, 14 is just like the ones we did a minute ago, like, what was that, 9 through 11. Find the exact value of cosine 5 pi over 3. Again, forget the 5 for a second. Anytime you see cosine pi over 3, that's a half. Just figure out what quadrant we're in. 5 pi over 3 puts us in quadrant 4. X is positive in quadrant 4, so it's just 1/2. 15, find the distance and midpoint. It's been a while since we did this one. All right, so distance, here's the formula in case you need it. Distance is the square root of x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. So really, you're subtracting your x's. I'm going to do that. So I'm going to do 4 minus negative 5. I guess I'll write that out. 4 minus negative 5. I'm going to square that plus subtract my y's. Doesn't matter which order you go. 11 minus 9 squared. 4 minus negative 5 is 9. Squared is 81. 11 minus 9 is 2. 2 squared is 4. So it gives me the square root of 85. And guys, that will not break down. You're fine right there. There's your distance. Your midpoint. Your formula for midpoint is you add your x's, divide by 2. You add your y's, and you divide by 2. So this is the easier part. If I add negative 5 and 4, that gives me negative 1 over 2. Guys, that's it. Do your y's. 9 plus 11 is 20. 20 divided by 2, 10. And there you have it. That's 15. 16. This one keeps on going. Find an equation of a circle. Okay, there's my center. Remember a circle, I'm going to put the opposite in here. X plus 1 squared, y minus 6 squared. And it passes through 3, 9. The question becomes, why does it pass through 3, 9? Because it works. So I'm plugging the 3 there and the 9 there. 3 plus 1 is 4. 4 squared is 16. 9 minus 6 is 3 squared, which is 9. If you add 16 and 9, you get 25. Now, guys, that's the answer right there, that equation. Not the 16 and the 9, not that other stuff. 17. f of a minus 1. To find f of a minus 1, I'm going to plug in a minus 1 where the x's are, there and there. Okay, so you got to square here first. If you square, you go square, multiply together, double. So don't forget that part, square. The 5, I'm taking the 5 through, and I need to keep on going. I'm going to distribute that 3, which is 3a squared minus 6a plus 3, and I still have this 5a minus 5 out here. All right, so that gives me, I'm going to come up since I'm running out of room. 3a squared, I got a negative 6a and a plus 5a, that's negative 1a, and I got a 3 minus 5, which is negative 2. And there you have it. 3 more. We're getting there, I promise. 18. A building has a shed of 60 feet. Here's my building right here. It is, that's the building. The question is, well, when the angle of elevation is 50, how tall is the building? That's the building. That's the shadow is down there. You should know that by now. Shadow is on the ground. It's 60. Angle of elevation is 50. Remember, the angle of elevation must touch the horizontal. It's got to be right there. It's got to be. The height is the opposite. That's the adjacent. Think about that. Opposite, adjacent. Something to do tangent of 50 degrees equals opposite over adjacent. Now, that's 50 degrees, guys. Okay, we just changed the radians a second ago. So go to your mode. Go to degrees. Let's go tangent. I'm going to go 60 times tangent 50. All you got to do in your calculator. And I get 71.5 degrees, 71.5 feet. And that's it. That's how tall the building is. All right. Last two, 19. 19, change 4 pi over 3 to degrees. Remember, pi is the same thing as 180, so I'm just going to do this. I'm going to say 4 times 180 over 3, and just punch that in, and I'm going to end up with 240 degrees. And the last one, change negative 240 to radians. Hint, that's the same answer we just got, but that's tomorrow probably won't be. Which do you divide by 180, and you put a pi with it. So take your calculator, divide 240 divided by 180. That's going to be 4/3. Put the pi with it, so I'm getting negative 4 pi over 3. And there you have it. All right, guys, that took a while. Make sure you're ready for tomorrow, so make sure you got time to get done. Use the video, make 100. Y'all doing great this semester. Keep on going. Keep your streak going. Doing a great job. See you tomorrow.